Welcome to Botch's Off-Road Podcast. Everything from overlanding your stock element to wheeling something crazy. Today, it's just going to be me and Alex, and we're going to talk a little bit about comms and navigation, what he uses, what I use, how we utilize it to find trails. I think it's going to be an interesting one. I guess we'll start out with you, Alex. What do you primarily use? What is your go-to navigation?
For navigation, it depends. If I'm actually navigating or following trails, always Onyx. Onyx is what I pay for. Onyx is it's just easier to use when you're going down the trail. But if I'm actually recording or mapping something, then I always go to Gaia, and I just use the Gaia free version for that.
Okay. Yeah, the Onyx is like a really simple UI. And
100%.
And it's super easy for beginners. They have everything kind of highlighted out on the maps. It's very easy to click on them and add waypoints. So if you do any kind of scouting, like Alex and I do, we like to scout on the state forests and stuff for potential camp spots, potential trails we want to do. Then it makes it really easy to put those waypoints down. They give you coordinates. You can color code them and organize them however you want to. So it's really nice there, as well as being able to track your routes. Like you mentioned on Gaia, you can also do that at Onyx. And I guess, why do you prefer Gaia for tracking? Just the operating system on that?
Yeah, so Gaia's recording system, or their mapping system, not really their mapping system, but their recording system, the way that it records, it's just easier to actually make good looking maps that are clean.
Yeah. And for me, that I understand why you would need that. But for me, as someone who does my type of overlanding, like we've mentioned in the previous episodes, that I don't necessarily need that for making making maps. But I do want them for scout locations. I like the highlighted areas. I like to be able to download my off-road maps and have everything sitting really easy to get to. So I really like Onyx for that. I do actually, when I am scouting campsites, I will cross-reference Gaia and Google Maps actually on satellite view while I'm looking for campsites or off-road trails. So one of the ways that you can actually go about it is choose your preferred app to take your trails or campsites, go down to your state land and start looking at the ends of the trails, where they roundabout or where they end, zoom in on these satellite pictures and look for clearings. You can click down on Gaia on that exact point, copy your coordinates, paste them to either of the Gaia or the Google Maps, and you can get different satellite views. So for instance, last night I was doing some of the Wexford County area of Michigan, and I was cross-referencing from Onyx to Gaia, or Onyx to Google. And they actually have a different time of the year. So it's more like fall when the leaves are down. So you can actually see the trails better, and you can see if it's a campsite. Cool. So yeah, so it's a good way to cross-reference both, to use multiple apps. It is not necessarily, especially when navigating, it's always good to have multiple apps. You don't want to have just one tool when they all kind of do something different. Even Gaia's got a little bit of different trails on theirs comparatively to what Onyx has. And
Gaia doesn't really have any trails. So Gaia pulls from external sources. Right.
Yeah.
And on that same front, the rest of us in Botches, we haven't gotten you on this yet, but we use a third mapping program called ATAC. ATAC is supposed to be used, if anyone has any experience with the Army's Blue Force Tracker, to tell you where troops are located and stuff. ATAC is the civilian version of that. And we use that in conjunction with Meshtastic, which is a off-grid mesh network radio that sends location data, and location data and text messages. So we're able to keep track of where each person that is on our ATAC or on our system, where they are on the trail, what they're experiencing, and if they need help, they can throw a quick flare up and we can pinpoint right where they're at.
Yeah. So, and that's really good too, because that kind of it doesn't defeat the purpose, but it is a definite way around using something like a Garmin InReach. So you can use a Garmin InReach, and you can pay for the subscription, and you can pay $300 for that, or you could go with how Alex just described, and overall much cheaper, and you're still getting pretty much the same thing.
Except it doesn't reach out to satellites. So, you know, if I'm wheeling in Michigan, I might go the Mesh-tastic route. Maybe I'll do Mesh-tastic with, maybe I'll keep a weather balloon in the truck. That way I can just send it up and get help quicker. Because that'll reach all the way to Chicago. I mean, we're in northern middle West Michigan, and I talk to Chicago every night.
Yeah.
So it's not quite as good as like a actual satellite connection. If I was going to wheel in, say, Colorado, I would definitely go with an InReach, or Nevada or Utah or even Arizona.
Okay.
But it still gives you a little more peace of mind. And I think that in the future, as the mesh network grows, we might get to a point where that's all you need.
Yeah. Yeah, and now with today's technology, another way to navigate, which we all use pretty frequently, is your phone signal. So, boosting your phone signal is pretty important too. And if you want to go that route, I actually use a Weboost Overland. It was probably I want to say on sale, but I would just say $500 for it, and that runs actually pretty good. You just have to keep in mind that you're boosting your existing signal, and just not to get like frustrated if you don't have any signal and it's not boosting your signal. You have to understand that it's only going to boost the existing signal. With that in mind, I have AT&T, and when I did do my wheeling trips up in the UP, I had 4 bars 4G and 5G almost the whole time. So I really do enjoy it. I haven't had any testing out of state with it yet, but so far it's been very rugged. The mount is very rugged. It's very easy to use. You can pop your antenna into different locations, and and there's multiple ways to hook up your antenna if you want to like hardwire it or run it through the firebox, or what am I thinking? The firewall. So yeah. So that's definitely a really nice addition.
With that Weboost, does that work with any phone carrier? Or
yeah, yep. So, it's any phone carrier. There's no subscription. You just need to be within that booster. There are 2 antennas on the booster. There's an external antenna and then an internal antenna that you mount somewhere close to where your phone's going to be mounted. Usually, and I might get this a little wrong, but it's there's a sweet spot actually, and it's something like 13 inches away from your phone is what they say you can get like the stronger signal. And actually, if you bring your antenna too close to your phone, it actually lessens the signal. So you do want to monkey around with it before you actually mount the inner antenna to make sure you're getting the strongest signal that you can. And yeah, I mean, this works really well. Sienna and I both have AT&T, but we've turned it on. I have a hardwired now to the battery. So we've turned it on to where other people could just go into the cab area of the truck and text their families if they needed to, or look a YouTube video up on how to fix brakes, something like that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, for the price, it's definitely expensive. It's definitely my most expensive comms / navigation purchase. But you know what? So far, I don't regret it. I think it was when I had the money, it was a decent purchase. For navigation, eventually I will get a Garmin InReach. I think that with the type of travel that we want to do later in our lives, when we start getting a little bit more financially capable, that'll be really useful to have. So yeah, so we kind of tackled a little bit on the navigational apps, but hard copies, do you even carry them anymore?
I don't have any hard copies.
Yeah. I haven't carried them in a couple, I'd say 2 years. I had a large map from Michigan. I would say that it's probably nice to have a map of the area that you're in. If for some reason something went wrong and you don't have power, you don't have phone, anything like that, of course, you never want to have to rely on your electronic devices when you're out in the wild. If you break your car breaks down and you can't provide power and you don't have any way to solar power it,
or just carry spare devices.
You can, but I'm thinking long term. To me, I am a worst case possible, scenario kind of guy. So I'm thinking, your car breaks down, your alternator goes out, your battery dies. You're stuck out in the middle of nowhere, and slowly everything dies without you getting service, and you have no way for you and your family to navigate your way out of whatever trail you're on. So that's, of course you can just pick a direction or go upriver or follow the lake shore or railroad tracks, however you want to do it. But I think it's always nice to have one. Huh? Let's say that again.
But maps are nice.
Maps are nice. Throw one underneath your seat and forget about it till you need it. They don't even take
up not updated. Space.
Right. Well, you got a general idea, right? So, but yeah, so okay, so we kind of agree on that, right? So we don't really have anything physical. Maybe we should just at some point. I have so many backup devices though that I haven't really worried about it. And I think in Michigan, unless you're in the UP, you wouldn't have to, right? You're pretty close to anywhere.
Even the UP, you pick a direction and head that way. Within at least 50 miles, you're going to hit something.
Yeah.
Whether it's someone's house or.
Yeah. That's when you get up to these bigger states that are more rural. That'll definitely come maybe a little bit more important to have that as a backup. But so we're not doing anything physical, especially in Michigan. We're both utilizing Onyx and Gaia. We're both utilizing the paid Onyx and free Gaia. And then you have your Meshtastic and what was the other thing? The Meshtastic. Yeah, Meshtastic and ATAC. What else are we trying to use here? We're not really using Google Maps. Don't use Google Maps, everybody.
I'm de-Googled. I haven't used Google in at least 2 years.
Only time I use Google Maps is when I'm on the highway, which I will use it for that because the system is really nice for navigation on highways. When you go on the trails, it's useless.
I actually have a Garmin, an actual physical GPS. I run a Garmin Drive 65, and that's what I use for on-road navigation. What's really cool with the Drive Smart, I think is what it's called, is it actually connects to your phone and talks to the Garmin network. So let's say there's an accident, it updates that in my GPS and tells me what route to take to go around it.
Yeah, that is nice. And I know Google does something like that, but it's nothing of that caliber. And yeah, you have your little your screen there that made me remember. I actually just bought a Amazon special info, maybe an 8-inch LCD screen that goes into my my radio area, and I actually run 2 different navigations. I'll run the Onyx on that, or I'll run Gaia on it, and I'll run Onyx on my phone, so that I have 2 different types of navigation up when I'm driving. I could see if there's a trail here on Gaia that, or a type of trail on Gaia that I didn't see with Onyx, and vice versa.
Right.
Like I said, the more maps you have up while you're looking and doing trails, the better. So at least that's my view on it.
Yeah, if I'm actually doing trails, I usually only have Onyx up. I'll do Onyx. I'll do Onyx or ATAC, because if I'm in Newego County, I tend to run ATAC instead of Onyx.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then so as far as that goes, we do a lot of wheeling in groups. So Communication's pretty important. I know that you told me when I first got started of a couple of different radios, and I ended up going with the Midland, what is it, MT or MX 275?
MXT.
Yep,
Yep.
MXT. Yep, MXT 275, and I went with the same extended range antenna that you have, and we get on a clear area probably what 3 miles, maybe more.
Well, it really depends. So I've ran it for a while. Expressway driving without the 8 dBi antenna, just running stock antennas, I've had 20 miles.
Oh yeah, I've had, now that you mentioned that, I've had that a while. I when we separated and I started going for trails and the group stayed on the highway, I could hear them for a while before
Yep.
I actually got on there. So that's a fair point. When we're on the trail, um, you can only worry about yourself as far as what your communication goes. Me and Alex, we're good. We have pretty long range communications for what we do.
About 3
But
miles.
yeah, which is, we're not typically more than 3 miles away from each other for any
Yeah.
reason when we're wheeling. So, but for some of these bigger overlanding groups, a lot of the handhelds don't reach out much farther. So maybe you can hear them just barely, but they can't hear you. So that is something important to look at when you're looking at comms of what you're doing, how you're going to wheel, with who you're going to wheel, and then kind of go about it from
Yeah.
there. There are
And
different powers on some of these GMRS capable, systems.
And my big thing with like the handhelds are useful. Obviously, really short range, but you can't hear a handheld when you're in the truck actually wheeling.
Yeah, no.
It's nice. It's nice to have a built-in radio that is actually loud enough that you can hear it, because you might be getting a message, but if you can't hear the message, you never got the message.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's nice. I think it's good to have both. And to your point about having, a built-in, speaker with the radio, it is pretty loud. But while you're wheeling and your wife's talking and the kids screaming, yeah, my experience, it's not loud enough for my ADHD to focus on the
Right.
voice. So I have an external speaker that I plug into the onboard unit, I guess, the
And
MXT 275, and I think you have one too, right?
I think we both run the same external speaker.
We have a lot of the
Um,
same.
yeah.
Just because I think I went based off of yours, and definitely don't regret it. The Midlands are a really good setup, honestly, for what we're doing, and for a lot of people, it's going to work just fine, even with the stock
Yeah,
antenna.
I've got the old MXT 275. I've got a USB-A model. I got mine in early 2019. I used to run it in my Power Stroke, and it's just rock solid, dude.
Yeah, they just
Like I
work.
said, I've got mine on 24/7. It's been underwater. It's been in trucks that don't really have airtight seals or anything. I mean, it's had the snot beat out of it.
Yeah,
And
Midland
it just
stuff
works.
just works, man. I mean, I just got mine too, but Midland's been around forever. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're not running Midland and you're going for something else that's cheaper, Baofeng's another one that a lot of people run. And I think I had a Baofeng, and that was honestly pretty solid until I lost it. So, but yeah, so you're running. Do you have how many? Do you have any Baofengs?
I think I've got 3 I've got 4 Baofangs.
Yeah, they're pretty
2
solid.
UV5Rs and then 2 GMRS ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I had a UV5R at one point. But so are you carrying any? You have your onboard mics. Are you carrying any handheld mics, walkies, anything like that?
I've got 2 UV5Rs and 2
Oh shit! I'm sorry.
GMRS.
I'm thinking that you just have them at home. Sorry.
No, I usually keep
So
them in the truck. I've got
yeah,
them on the molly panels in the back.
yeah. Well, that's a good place, honestly. I have a 2-pack of cheapo Amazonians, with the USB-C batteries that you can charge while you're driving. So I do like those. Those are nice. For what they are, I can throw them to a friend and they can beat the crap out of them and use them while we're hanging out, and it's fine. I can give it to my wife, and it's nice to have multiple communications. So having the onboard, I could sit there in the truck and she can spot me, or she can help me when I'm backing up. I don't have to yell all the time.
That's the best part.
Yeah, it's super nice. Ask your wives. So it's nice. It's nice to have that. You can communicate without yelling, and maybe there's something that gets missed and it can cause issues. So we're both running the MXT 275s. You have an older model, I have the brand new model. We're both running extended range antennas. We both have handhelds. We both have some kind of navigation unit. You have the Garmin, right? The Garmin. What is that called?
The Drive Smart.
Drive Smart. Yep. And I have the. It's running off of my phone because I'm using CarPlay, but I'm using the my large 8-inch display. It's about just basically a tablet.
That thing
to help,
because that runs Android, right? Does that have? Did that have a GPS antenna that goes with it?
I think it had an internal in the actual tablet itself, because I want to say that that's basically just a tablet inputted into into whatever it is. It functions.
I've had a few of those. And all mine had a little GPS antenna that plugged in, and then you put it in your window, and I would just run my Google Maps right off that.
It did not have one that I can remember, but that doesn't mean much because my memory is dog shit, as everyone.
Goldfish.
Yes, goldfish memory, about 0.3 seconds, and then I'm resetting. So, yeah. So I mean, that's a pretty good intro onto nav and comms. We can talk all day about Onyx, and we could talk all day about Gaia. At the end of the day, Gaia is really good for making routes, making trails.
Yeah.
Other than the bullshit that they're doing right now, they just raised the prices on it to like what, $90.
Yeah, they went from like 20, almost triple, because I think it was $30 and now it's 90.
Yeah, I'm good. I did the free before, and I won't lie, I definitely thought about doing the premium Gaia to have both, because 2 is always better than 1. But $90, there's no fucking way. I can't justify that with as well as Onyx runs. And Onyx, if I'm talking preference, I'll just build routes and shit on Onyx, man, for that price. I don't even pay that much. I usually wait until one of these off-road influencers or overlanders gives a discount code to Onyx, because they're all sponsored by them, and that's when I buy my yearly. So, yeah,
Onyx, if you're listening, sponsor us.
Sponsor us. 20s, do botches 20 for that'd be perfect.
All of our 6 listeners will greatly appreciate it.
Greatly, but when we're like 600 listeners, you guys are going to get a lot of kickback, and it's an investment. You have to think about that.
Yeah. Think ahead.
Think ahead. Come on. So, yeah, man, that's a good introduction to Nav's Comms, what we have, what we're using, and why. So, yeah, man, thanks for joining me on here, and let's go feed our wives.
Yeah, my dogs are kind of going nuts. It's about time. I hope you enjoyed this mini-sode of the Botches Off-Road Podcast. Please tune in every Sunday for a little 20 to 30 minute clip.